The world for some years has been sodden with tears on behalf of the acting profession.
Each star playing a part seems to expect the Purple Heart.
It's unorthodox to be born in a box, but it needn't become an obsession. Let's hope there is no worse to plague us than 2 shows a night at Las Vegas.
It was 7 days a week. You started at 8:30 in the morning, and a lot of times you didn't get out till 1 o'clock in the morning. You were lucky if you made it home for holidays. You were lucky if you had any kind of life outside of this really intense bubble, and we were all in it together. And so we formed a very intense bond with each other. We opened on Halloween night. There was a Sam Shepard piece, of course. What young artist isn't totally into Sam Shepard? And then an original piece by a member of the company, Joey Gans. He had written a piece called Ted's Men that was totally fitting for the evening because it was very gritty and edgy and really good. Well, we were in Olneyville, and a person in our group had found this big loft that used to be, of course, a jewelry factory. And I think that some people really got a kick out of this guerrilla theater, you know. I'm going to drive my BMW into the bowels of Olneyville and go and see what this little theater group is doing. And they just felt so cool, you know. It was great. And I mean, we did everything. When I say we wore different hats, it wasn't just different artistic hats. I mean, we picked up the trash. We wrote the program. We made the posters. We went out and got advertisements for the program. We went and stapled the posters up. We swept out the space. We designed the sets. We built the sets. We did everything. Talk about organic. Absolutely from the ground up. Plunged, oh yes, plunged many a toilet. Because the Riverside Mills burned down to the ground. They burned into an empty shell. Oops. Yeah, electrical fire. It burned because you're talking about a brick building with wooden floors that are soaked with oil.
When I first became involved, it was as an actor in a play that was being put on in 1992 in the second of the 2 mills that Alias occupied in Olneyville. And the mill was dark, it was rat infested, and you'd want to carry a club with you when you parked in the unlighted lot outside. And what went on inside was magic.
When I think of physicians and mathematicians who don't earn a quarter the dough.
When I look at the faces of people in Macy's.
So the 4 of us were Kate and Steve and Hope and myself. Everything had just been moved into the Elbow Street garage, and it was all sitting in the middle of the concrete floor. And the 4 of us said, shall we go forward? Shall we try to do this? So we went forward essentially with Kate as the only active member of the founders.
Elbow Street holds a special place in my heart. When you think about it, it's pretty unbelievable the things that we pulled off in that space.
Oh, yeah, Elbow. I have so much affection for that space, so it's hard to remember the bad things. But on the other hand, the audience never knew what they were walking into. We had such freedom in terms of creating the space. This word that kept popping up when it came to Alias was intimacy. We could hear what was going on with the audience. And they couldn't turn away, and they couldn't run away, and they couldn't go to the bathroom, although sometimes they did. And I think that intimacy just made it for a more intense artistic experience.
I always remember the first Much Ado because it was the first show that that Fred asked me to do a leading role. Yeah, it was really kind of petrifying and exciting at the same time. The whole group that was involved with that, we had so much fun with it. It was one of those that we get to come to the theater and go have a party and just, have fun with it. And then being able to revisit it again was really cool to be able to kind of see where it's come in 10 years and where we've all come in 10 years.
There's one thing I'm burning to know. Why must the show go on?
It can't be all that indispensable.
To me, it
Our
really isn't.
artistic director at that point decided that it was simply fiscally impossible to do. Well, what he was looking at was something that had worked one way or the other. But things came to a grinding halt. The board was once again faced with the issue of shall we or shall we not go forward. So again, we came very close, but dodged the bullet and went to Pawtucket, which was one of the most brilliant moves we've ever made. The biggest thing of all, we hired Tony and we hired Yvonne. And under their leadership, we just plain prospered. It worked.
Wow, they've had years and years of great productions, what they needed to have, which was a real institution behind the organization. But then also knowing that the audience was really there, even if it hadn't been totally tapped. When we became Equity in 2005, the amount of money that we had to raise in ticket sales and in contributions in order to meet the demands of an equity house was really a huge leap for the organization. So here's this old armory. Here's this fantastic theater company coming out of Providence. And since we've come to Pawtucket, we have grown our budget 12-fold, our subscribership 18-fold, and the numbers of the cars that are coming in have really been noticed by the city. We have education programs that in the last 5 years have become another key part of Pawtucket's cultural literacy advancement, and teachers and principals are writing letters of support saying the longer our students have with the Gamm teaching artists, the higher their test scores are going.
We need more seats. I think there's no question that we can fill those seats because of the quality of work we do. Where that happens, when that happens, is what's going to occupy a lot of our energy as we plan for the future. But I'm sure that we've got the people with the brains and the ability to plan that carefully and well.
When we first started, it was a part of a fear of, can we do this? Now I don't have that fear of the we, because I think the we is pretty amazing. As long as it's more of the same that we've been doing, which is the great artists involved, the designers, the directors, the actors, with an artistic director who seems to know what connects to audiences. I mean, whether it's a play about insanity or a Christmas show. We've been doing it for a long time now, and I think if we keep doing what we're doing and trust our instincts, then we'll be fine.
And when you're so blue, wet through and thoroughly woe begone, why must the show go on?